Hello guys, in module number 1, if you remember the framework tree diagram, we said that Kivy has its own language to build the GUI interface, and this language called KV. So in this video and the upcoming one, we will use this language to build more than Hello Kivy button. Now, generally speaking, there are two ways to build your GUI. The first one is by calling the object that we want to use directly under the build function. And if you can recall, in our last example, we called the Hello Kivy button directly. The second way is to use the KV language, which is more suitable when we have multiple objects and our application is getting more complex where we want to organize their location and the layout for the objects. Also, we will learn the KV language by writing a very simple example that creates a new label object and set its text value. Before building the interface using KV, we have to do a minor changes to our example. So here, instead of calling the object directly, like calling the button under the build function, we will return a new class named myInterface and pass the layout type that we want. So let me do this real quick. Now, generally speaking, in Android user interface, there are multiple layouts like grid layout and box layout. Each one of these layouts will show the elements in a different way. For instance, the grid layout is always going to keep the elements in one column. However, to have more flexibility to accommodate individual widgets, we can use box layout where we can have two orientation modes like the vertical and horizontal mode. Alright, so I'm gonna import the box layout class and from kv.ux.boxlayout, then import box layout and pass it to my interface class. Next, I will import a class called builder. So from kv.lang import builder. The builder is a global KV instance and it is responsible for loading a string that contains the GUI objects like buttons, labels, text input, etc. Technically, we can have this string embedded within our main.py file, just as we do in our current example. Or we can have it in a separate file with .kv extension. If it is in a separate file, then we need to specify the path for this file. But since our GUI application will be simple, we will stick with the embedded option. Alright, to start with, the KV GUI language has a specific structure that we should follow. We should start by declaring a class rule, and in our case, it is named myInterface. Note that it should have the exact name of the class that we passed the layout for. Now under the class rule, we can start adding the graphical elements and how they will be graphically represented. The structure itself looks similar to Python structure. Under myInterface class rule, I left 4 empty spaces, if you can notice here. Then I defined a label widget for calling text on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to jump to Kivy site and copy the label widget, okay, and define the text that I want to show up. And let's make it hi there. One more time, notice again that I left 4 empty spaces between the label definition and the text. Again, notice that I left 4 spaces between the definition of the widget label and the text variable that contains our text, which is hi there. Okay, let's try it out and I will run the script now. And okay, it says an error about name mismatch about the class. Oh, okay, let me get back to the script and make the class's name matching here really quick. And fair enough, we got our text over here. Okay, perfect. Before moving forward, I have to clear up some terms about the KV language. KV uses the word widget to describe any interface element. For instance, the label which we used here is called widget. Also, the text input field and buttons that we will use shortly, each one of them is also called widget. The layout class that comprise other widgets and determine where they should be displayed is also called widget. Finally, a complicated tree views such as a file picker is also called widget. Alright, so let's keep going and expand our application a little bit by adding a new text input widget. So here, as you can see on the screen, this is the text input reference and description in KV website. Alright, now under the label widget, I will type text input. And I will leave 4 empty spaces and then assign a value for the hint underscore text variable. So let's make that value enter your username. Okay, the text hint is a hint message that will show inside the box to indicate the user what he should input in that text input. And let's run our code. Alright, and let me grab my pen real quick. Okay, so this is the text hint here, and it indicates that we should input our username here. Okay, so if I typed username, notice the 2 widgets are beside each other, and we're gonna see how we can change that in a little bit. Okay, let's add a new box layout widget and make the text input belongs to this new layout. So all what I have to do under the label, I'm gonna insert box layout and then make the text input belongs to this new layout. And I will do so by adding a 4 leading spaces here. So basically we have 2 widgets, the label widget and the box layout widget. The box layout widget right now includes the text input widget. So the text input belongs to the box layout widget right now. Now, if we run the script, we got the same result as before. But let me go back to the code. Adding the following line will make a difference. So I'm gonna type orientation vertical. So what that means? Well, this means that each widget will show up vertically above each other. The label widget will show up on the top of the box layout that contains our text input. Well, this is not only the flexibility that we can have. Now within our new sub layout, I will add a new label. So let me copy and paste the old one and I will name it user. Okay, so let me run the script. Okay, and the end result for this, it will show a label user besides the text input. So basically here on the top, we got our first label, and since the orientation is vertical, we got our box layout which contains a user input and the label down below. Now, if we want to show the widgets that belong to the box layout under each other, we need to specify the orientation to be vertical, just like the way that we did that in the main layout. So let me copy the orientation and paste it over here. Okay, now if we run the code, okay, fair enough, we got both widgets will show vertically above each other. And notice that within the box layout widget, any widget defined under this box layout will also appear vertically above each other. Alright guys, in the next video we will introduce more widgets like button and pop-up messages. Thank you very much for watching.